Did you know that seniors spend nearly 30% more energy on housework than younger adults, simply because of extra steps, repeated motions, and the silent strain of bending, lifting, and walking back and forth? It's a hidden energy thief, and for many people over 60, that thief lives right inside the home. Think about it for a moment. How many times have you carried a dish to the sink only to walk back later for the glass you forgot? Or gone to the bedroom for a sweater, then realized you also left your book in the living room? Those small, repeated trips may not seem like much in the moment, but they add up quickly, stealing strength you could be saving for something joyful and meaningful. And if you live with arthritis, stiff joints, or the slower recovery that comes with age, those wasted movements aren't just tiring, they can be painful, sometimes even risky. Every extra step can feel like it costs twice as much energy as it used to, and that can leave you feeling frustrated or defeated before the day has even begun. When every movement requires thought and effort, wasted energy isn't just inconvenient, it becomes the real enemy. But here's the good news: you don't need to push harder, and you don't need to sacrifice the safety or pride of having a clean, welcoming home. What you need is a fresh approach, simple, smart changes that allow you to protect your body while still keeping your surroundings in order. Over the next few minutes, you'll discover clever, practical hacks designed especially for seniors who want to keep their homes light, safe, and peaceful, without draining the precious energy that's better spent on family, hobbies, or simply enjoying the day. And trust me, the final hack is the one that surprises everyone. Welcome to Wise Aging Seniors. Hit like and subscribe right now so you never miss practical, life-lightening shortcuts crafted for this stage of life. Meet Thaddeus Quinn, 76 years old, a retired mail carrier from a small town in Missouri. For more than 40 years, Thaddeus walked his route faithfully, through icy winters, humid summers, and every kind of weather in between. He was the kind of man who neighbors trusted, not just to deliver their letters, but to notice when something seemed off, like a porch light left burning all night or a newspaper piling up on the doorstep. People remembered him not just as the man who carried the mail, but as someone who carried a sense of reliability and quiet dignity. When he retired, Thaddeus thought he'd finally have time to enjoy the slower rhythm of life. He pictured mornings reading the local paper with a hot cup of coffee, afternoons tending to his tomato plants, and evenings listening to old country records. But what he didn't expect was how arthritis would sneak into his knees, slowly tightening its grip. At first it was just a dull ache after a long day, but soon even short walks left him stiff. Climbing the porch steps he once bounded up effortlessly became a careful process of gripping the railing and catching his breath. Despite the pain, Thaddeus still loved order. He liked his shoes lined neatly by the door, dishes stacked just so, and the living room free of clutter. Yet keeping his home tidy was no longer simple. Carrying laundry up the stairs felt like hauling a sack of bricks. Vacuuming left him sore for hours. Even wiping down the counters sometimes drained him so much he had to rest before finishing. He began to notice stacks of mail lingering on the table, crumbs collecting near his favorite chair, and the kind of disarray that once would have driven him to action. What frustrated Thaddeus most wasn't the dust or the clutter, it was the feeling that his home was running him, instead of the other way around. He had worked his whole life to be dependable, to keep things in order, yet now the very place that should have given him peace felt like a battlefield against his own energy. He worried that if things continued this way, he'd lose more than a tidy home, he'd lose his sense of independence. That's when he realized he needed a new way forward, not harder work, but smarter strategies. And when he began learning simple, energy-saving hacks tailored for seniors, everything changed. For Thaddeus, these weren't just cleaning tricks, they became the keys to reclaiming dignity, control, and comfort in his own home again. Hack 1. The Energy Pairing Rule. Thaddeus Quinn had spent decades walking his mail route, moving with purpose, carrying more than one bundle at a time to make his work efficient. That instinct never left him, and when arthritis began slowing him down at home, he realized the same principle could save him from unnecessary strain. He calls it the energy pairing rule, and it begins with one simple idea: never make a single-purpose trip. Here's what that means in practice. Instead of walking from the living room to the kitchen just to drop off the mail and later making another trip for his teacup, Thaddeus started combining tasks. One pass became 2 jobs done. A walk down the hall wasn't just to grab his reading glasses, it also became the moment he returned the blanket to the bedroom. Every time he left a room, he took something with him, and every time he entered a room, he brought something back. Why does this matter so much? For seniors living with sore knees, stiff hips, or chronic fatigue, extra steps aren't harmless, they're expensive. Each movement takes energy, sometimes even causes pain. By cutting out those repeat trips, Thaddeus essentially halved the toll on his body. Half the steps, half the pain, double the efficiency. What once felt like endless wandering around the house became short, intentional actions that respected his limits. The brilliance of this hack isn't just about saving physical energy, it's about restoring a sense of control. Thaddeus no longer felt like he was chasing after chores that always multiplied. Instead, he felt ahead of them. He could end the day without that heavy exhaustion that made him dread tomorrow's tasks. And more importantly, he could redirect that saved energy into what mattered most: calling his daughter, spending time on his stamp collection, or simply sitting on the porch watching the sunset. Think about what that could mean for you. Every saved step is not just relief for your body, it's more time and strength left for the things you love, the moments that give life meaning beyond cleaning. Imagine finishing your day with energy to enjoy your evening instead of collapsing into your chair worn out from chores. That's the emotional payoff of the energy pairing rule. So let me ask you, do you already combine your trips around the house, or is this a new way of thinking for you? Share your answer in the comments, because your story might inspire someone else to start saving steps and reclaiming energy today. Hack 2. The Sit and Sort Basket System. One of the smartest adjustments Thaddeus Quinn made was introducing what he calls his Sit and Sort Basket System. It's a simple idea with a surprisingly powerful impact, especially for seniors who struggle with arthritis, back pain, or fatigue. The principle is straightforward. Keep a lightweight basket within reach of your favorite chair, and instead of constantly getting up to put things away, drop items into the basket as you notice them throughout the day. Later, when you're already moving from room to room, you can carry the basket with you and put everything back in place in one calm trip. Why is this so effective? Before discovering this trick, Thaddeus felt like a butler in his own home. Every few minutes he was standing up, carrying a pair of glasses to the bedroom, placing the TV remote back on the table, or bending to pick up a magazine off the floor. Each movement seemed small, but together they left his knees throbbing and his energy depleted before the day was even halfway done. It wasn't just physically tiring, it was emotionally discouraging. Instead of enjoying his home, he felt trapped in a cycle of endless little tasks. The basket changed everything. Now, when he spotted something out of place, he didn't have to choose between leaving it there to bother him or pushing his aching joints to get up immediately. He simply placed it in the basket. At the end of the evening, he would take one short, intentional walk through the house, returning everything in one sweep. The difference was striking. No more dozens of painful, scattered trips, just one smooth, controlled effort. The emotional payoff was just as important as the physical relief. Thaddeus no longer felt like a servant constantly at the beck and call of his clutter. Instead, he regained a sense of control. His home began to feel lighter and more manageable, and he could finally sit in his chair without the nagging thought that he should be up again fixing something. That mental freedom gave him space to enjoy reading, phone calls with family, or simply resting without guilt. This system works for more than just clutter. It can hold small laundry, bills that need sorting, or even items that belong upstairs. It's flexible, adaptable, and most importantly, it respects the reality of living with limited energy. So, let me ask you, could a sit and sort basket save you from the constant up and down cycle in your own home? Tell us in the comments. Your idea might be the spark another senior needs to finally break free from that exhausting routine. Hack 3. Digital eyes before hands. Thaddeus Quinn never thought his smartphone, something he once struggled to learn, would become one of his greatest allies in keeping his home under control. For years, he avoided using it for much beyond calls and the occasional photo of his garden. But when arthritis began limiting how often he could bend, stretch, or walk back and forth, he stumbled on a game-changing idea: use digital eyes before hands. Here's how it works. Instead of standing in the middle of a room and trying to tackle everything at once, Thaddeus now takes a quick photo of the cluttered space with his phone. That single snapshot does two powerful things. First, it gives him a clear overview of the mess without requiring him to move anything yet. Second, it allows him to see the space differently. On the screen, he can easily spot what stands out most: a stack of unopened mail, a pile of laundry in the corner, or those little items that get lost in the background when you're standing in the room itself. With one glance at the photo, he can prioritize what matters first, instead of wasting energy moving random objects back and forth. This hack became more than just a tool for organization, it was a way to prevent overwhelm. For seniors with limited energy, it's not just the physical act of cleaning that wears you down, it's the mental weight of wondering where to start. By breaking the room into a picture, Thaddeus could focus on one or two obvious areas instead of trying to conquer everything at once. That shift turned frustration into a sense of direction. But there's a bonus that surprised him most. Once he had those photos, he started texting them to his daughter and grandson. A quick message: "Do I really need this old gadget?" Or "What do you think about these books?" Turned chores into conversations. Instead of feeling isolated in his effort, he felt connected. Sometimes his family encouraged him to let go of things he didn't really need. Other times they shared memories sparked by the items in the photo. What began as a cleaning shortcut became an unexpected way to bond. For Thaddeus, this hack wasn't just about saving his knees or avoiding extra steps. It was about transforming cleaning from a lonely task into an opportunity for connection and clarity. And for many seniors, that emotional spark is just as important as the practical outcome. So let me ask you, have you ever tried taking photos of cluttered areas before tackling them, or would this be a new approach for you? Share your thoughts below, because your story might give someone else the courage to try digitalize beforehand. Hack 4. The weighted blanket rule. Not all clutter weighs the same. Some items may barely take up space, yet carry an invisible heaviness that presses on your heart every time you see them. Thaddeus Quinn discovered this truth the hard way. After years of retirement, he found himself surrounded not just by things he used, but by things he kept out of obligation. A bread maker gifted by a neighbor that he never once touched. A stack of magazines he swore he'd read someday, though the print was too small for his tired eyes. And the hardest of all, a set of unopened golf clubs his son bought him years ago, when his knees had already made the game impossible. Every time Thaddeus walked past those clubs, he felt a pang of guilt. He didn't want to hurt his son's feelings, but keeping them only reminded him of what he couldn't do anymore. That's when he came up with what he calls the weighted blanket rule. He asked himself one simple question: does this item feel as heavy as my weighted blanket? Not in pounds, but in emotions. If something brought guilt, regret, or obligation instead of joy or usefulness, it was a signal to let it go. Because clutter isn't just about piles on the floor or overstuffed shelves, it's about the invisible emotional burdens we carry every day. For seniors, these burdens can be especially strong. Gifts we never wanted but feel guilty discarding. Clothes from a body we no longer have. Hobbies we once dreamed of but no longer enjoy. Each of these objects can whisper failure or disappointment, making the home feel heavier even when it looks tidy. By applying the weighted blanket rule, Thaddeus lightened not just his shelves but his spirit. Donating the golf clubs didn't erase his son's love, it created room for new memories that didn't sting. Passing on the bread maker to a neighbor who actually baked weekly gave the object a new life instead of leaving it to collect dust. The genius of this hack lies in shifting perspective. Decluttering isn't just about making space, it's about choosing which emotions you want your home to hold. Do you want it to remind you of missed opportunities, or do you want it to reflect peace, comfort, and freedom? When Thaddeus looked around his living room after applying this rule, he realized he felt lighter, calmer, more himself. The invisible weight was gone. Now it's your turn. Look around your space today and notice what feels heavy in your heart, not just in your hands. Do you keep things out of guilt or obligation? Share your story in the comments, because when we talk about the weight we carry, we often discover we're not carrying it alone. Hack 5. The rolling cart companion. One of the biggest challenges Thaddeus Quinn faced after arthritis tightened its grip on his knees was carrying items from room to room. What used to feel effortless, like taking folded laundry upstairs or bringing cleaning supplies into the bathroom, suddenly felt like an Olympic event. His joints ached under the strain of holding weight, and his balance wasn't what it used to be. More than once, he stumbled while trying to juggle a basket of clothes with one hand and grip the railing with the other. That's when he discovered what he now calls his rolling cart companion, and it changed everything. Instead of carrying heavy or awkward items, Thaddeus began using a small wheeled cart, the kind you might see in a kitchen or craft room. It didn't need to be fancy, just sturdy, lightweight, and easy to push. Into this cart went his essentials: a spray bottle, microfiber cloths, a roll of trash bags, and a small bin for odds and ends. On laundry days, he used it to hold folded clothes, neatly stacked and ready to be delivered to their rooms. Suddenly, what once required multiple painful trips became one smooth, joint-friendly glide across the floor. The genius of this hack lies in the way it transforms cleaning into something safer and less exhausting. Carrying items forces you to shift your weight, strain your back, and rely on balance that may not be as steady as it once was. Pushing a cart, on the other hand, uses larger, stronger muscles and distributes weight evenly. Thaddeus found he no longer dreaded moving supplies or laundry, he simply wheeled them along, saving his knees and avoiding the risk of falling. But beyond the physical relief, the rolling cart brought Thaddeus peace of mind. He no longer worried about dropping bottles or tripping over a laundry basket in the hallway. The cart kept everything organized in one place, so he wasn't constantly searching for where he left the dust cloth or the cleaner. That sense of order gave him back confidence, and confidence is something no arthritis flare-up could steal. For seniors over 60, especially those living with low energy or pain, this hack can be a game changer. It doesn't just save steps, it protects independence. Every time Thaddeus pushes his cart through the house, he feels like he's managing his home on his own terms again, not struggling against it. So here's the question for you: have you ever used a rolling cart around your home, or do you think it could make your chores lighter and safer? Drop your answer in the comments below. You might inspire someone else to roll toward freedom instead of carrying the weight alone. Hack 6. The apron with pockets trick. Thaddeus Quinn had always been known for his practicality. During his 40+ years as a mail carrier, his uniform was more than just clothes, it was his toolkit. The satchel slung across his shoulder held letters, newspapers, and small parcels, each item tucked in its proper place so that his hands stayed free and his stride stayed steady. After retirement, he missed that feeling of purposeful movement, of being equipped for the task at hand. Ironically, it was that memory that gave him the idea for what he now calls the apron with pockets trick. Instead of juggling items as he walked through his home or making constant trips back and forth, Thaddeus began wearing a lightweight apron with deep pockets whenever he tied it up. At first, it felt almost too simple. But soon, he realized how powerful it was. Each pocket became a temporary mail slot for the odds and ends scattered around his house. His reading glasses in one pocket, unopened mail in another, a misplaced TV remote or small notepad in another. Rather than interrupting his rhythm to return every single thing immediately, he collected them as he moved, just as he once collected letters from each home on his route. By the end of his slow walk around the house, his apron was full. And here's the key: instead of making a dozen painful, exhausting trips, he could redistribute everything in one calm, controlled sweep. A few steps to the bedroom to drop off glasses. A quick pass by the kitchen counter to set down the mail. One stop at the living room table for the remote. What once required scattered, energy-draining movements now became a smooth, efficient process. The brilliance of this hack isn't only in saving steps, it's in the emotional tie it created for Thaddeus. Each time he slipped on that apron, he felt a spark of nostalgia. It reminded him of his days walking the neighborhood with a sense of purpose, each pocket a tool for serving others. Now, those same pockets served him. Instead of seeing cleaning as a burden, he began to see it as a familiar, almost comforting routine. Efficiency wasn't lost with age, it was simply adapted. For seniors living with arthritis, pain, or fatigue, this trick can be more than a convenience, it can be a lifeline. It reduces bending, spares the joints, and prevents the frustration of constant back-and-forth trips. But even more importantly, it transforms cleaning from a draining duty into a manageable habit that protects energy and restores dignity. So let me ask you, have you ever thought of using an apron with pockets as your personal carry system at home? Or could you see yourself trying it after hearing Thaddeus's story? Share your thoughts in the comments. You might just inspire someone else to rediscover a little efficiency, and maybe even a little nostalgia, in their daily routine. Hack 7. The Music and Motion Method. Thaddeus Quinn always believed that music had a way of lightening even the heaviest of days. In his younger years, he and his late wife had a tradition. Whenever her favorite song came on the radio, they would stop whatever they were doing, even if it meant pausing dinner preparations or laundry, and dance together in the kitchen. Those 3 or 4 minutes didn't just bring joy, they stitched memories into the fabric of their marriage. Years later, when arthritis made chores feel like endless hurdles, Thaddeus rediscovered the power of music in a surprising new way. He turned it into a tool for cleaning, something he now calls the Music and Motion Method. Here's how it works. Instead of dreading a task like dusting shelves or wiping down the kitchen counter, Thaddeus chooses one uplifting song, 3 to 4 minutes long. He plays it loud enough to fill the room, and during that single track, he moves gently to the rhythm while tackling just one job. The song becomes a timer, a motivator, and a companion all at once. When the music stops, so does the task. There's no pressure to keep going endlessly, no guilt about not doing more. One song, one chore, one little celebration of movement and progress. What makes this method genius is the way it transforms the atmosphere of cleaning. Instead of silence that highlights every ache in his knees or stiffness in his back, music shifts the focus from pain to joy. Moving with the rhythm turns wiping a counter into a mini dance, folding laundry into a sway, or vacuuming into a gentle two-step. Thaddeus found himself smiling again, remembering the warmth of those kitchen dances, and feeling like cleaning wasn't punishment, it was part of living. The emotional payoff here is profound. For seniors who may struggle with loneliness or the weight of slower days, music brings companionship. It sparks memory, lifts mood, and restores a sense of playfulness that chores alone rarely give. For Thaddeus, every song is not just a soundtrack to a task, it's a reminder that even with arthritis, he can still move, still smile, and still enjoy the rhythm of life. And the beauty of this hack is that it's endlessly personal. Your song might be an old gospel hymn that fills you with peace, a Motown classic that makes your feet tap, or even a modern tune that your grandchildren introduced you to. The key is that it speaks to you and lifts your spirit. So, what about you? If you had to pick just one song for your next 3-minute tidy, what would it be? Drop it in the comments below. Your choice might inspire someone else to dance their way through the dust, one joyful chore at a time. When we first met Thaddeus Quinn, his story mirrored what so many seniors quietly face. He was exhausted, frustrated, and burdened by the sense that clutter was chaining him to a life of constant effort. Each pile of mail, every misplaced item, every trip across the room felt like a reminder that his body no longer moved the way it once had. His home, which should have been his safe haven, began to feel like an obstacle course designed to test his limits. He dreaded the endless cycle of bending, carrying, and cleaning, wondering if this was simply the cost of aging. But after discovering and applying these simple, genius hacks, his life took a dramatic turn. His home became lighter, calmer, and safer. Tasks that once left him drained now fit seamlessly into his day. And most importantly, he found he had energy left over, not just scraps at the end of the day, but enough to spend on what truly mattered: conversations with his daughter, afternoons with his stamp collection, and evenings watching the sun dip below the Missouri horizon. The clutter no longer controlled him. He controlled his space again. And that's the heart of today's message. It's not about cleaning harder, it's about cleaning smarter, in ways that honor your body today. These 7 hacks aren't about chasing perfection or impressing anyone. They're about making your life easier, safer, and more joyful. Let's quickly recap them. 1. Pair every trip with purpose. Never walk empty-handed. 2. Keep a sit and sort basket by your chair to gather items and relocate them in one calm sweep. 3. Use your phone to take photos. Let digital eyes help you prioritize before moving anything. 4. Apply the weighted blanket rule. Let go of items that carry emotional heaviness, not just physical weight. 5. Rely on a rolling cart companion to glide your supplies instead of straining your joints. 6. Wear an apron with deep pockets, turn clutter into cargo and make redistribution effortless. 7. And finally, the music and motion method. Let a single song transform chores into moments of joy. Together, these steps create not just a cleaner house, but a lighter heart and a safer, more independent life. So here's your motivation to carry with you. Your energy is precious, don't waste it on clutter. Reclaim it for what matters most. Imagine what life would feel like if your home gave you back strength instead of stealing it. That's possible, and it starts with the smallest choices you make today. If even one of these ideas sparked something in you, don't keep it to yourself. Hit that like button, subscribe for more life-lightening wisdom, and share this video with someone you love who deserves the peace of a safer, lighter home after 60. Because no matter your age, you still deserve to live with dignity, energy, and joy.